Okay, hey, we're here with a new piece of equipment. We got a 1967 Case Construction King Model 33 forklift that a buddy of mine called me up and said, hey, I'm dropping it off, it's yours. He was doing some work on it for a customer of his, and it sat for years and years and years, and finally they both wanted rid of it. So he brought it out to me, and I knew the machine a little bit. I know that it ran when it was parked, so we're gonna see if we can get it fired up. The distributor was locked up. He left the cap off of it for probably 2 or 3 years, and rainwater got down the distributor and froze up the distributor weights and ruined it. He'd already had an electronic ignition put in it by Pertronics, breakerless ignition module. The coil's missing. They had a beer keg on the hood for a fuel tank. We took that off and we leak checked the tank. It seems to be fine. I don't know why they did that, but we'll probably find out down the road. So we put some oil down the cylinders and spun it over, and I pulled the distributor out and freed up the weights and made a spring for it. One of them was rusted away, and cleaned up the weights. I got a new Pertronics igniter to go in it, and I've used these before. These are real good for just getting rid of points, and they do a good job. They're around $100. They do a really good job. So we've got the oil drained out of it, and I've got a filter and oil, and we are going to put the distributor together and get it wired up, see if we can get spark, and throw some fresh oil in it. And I've already been through the carburetor. It's got an updraft Zenith or Marvel Schebler type carburetor, and it was in good shape, just needed cleaned out. So we're gonna see if we can put some fuel to it and make smoke. Hey, we're back with this 580A forklift. So we got the ignition module put in the distributor. We wired it up to an old coil I had that's kind of iffy. We do have spark. Found the ignition wire coming from the ignition switch. We've spun it over. We've got the plugs out right now. We got fresh oil in it. We're going to recheck the oil, install the spark plugs. We've got a little temporary tank plumbed onto the carburetor. I'm gonna shoot a little fuel down it with my squirt bottle here, and we're gonna see if we can make smoke, make it hit. So let's get to it. So you wanna put it back on time lapse? Okay, we're back at this forklift. We've got it, we think, ready to go. We're gonna see if it sparks enough to hit. We'll throw a little fuel in the carburetor. We've got fuel going to it. I don't know if the needle seat's sticking or not, but we're gonna hit it and see what happens. So
ready to turn it on?
ignition, yeah.
Ignition is on. Put it in.
Spark.
wants to start. Ready?
No, I'm doing it. You're gonna shut off, dude.
I thought I was on button,
No.
diddy. Okay, I'm ready.
Well, I'm holding it. I have to hold it idle. It doesn't want to return to idle.
Hey!
All right, one more test. Leave it running. Let's take the jumper off. We got it off. Turn the ignition on. But I'm gonna hit it.
Okay, ignition's on.
There we go. Good job, buddy.
Thanks.
Good job. Okay, we got this thing running. I'm just topping off the oil. We fired it up, but we got a voltage drop problem from the battery through the ignition switch down to the coil. So if I bypass all that and just run a hot wire to the battery side of the coil, it fires up pretty good. If I run it through the ignition switch, it doesn't want to fire until you just let off the key and then it hits. So we've got a voltage drop issue. I don't know if it's got just high resistance on wires or the ignition switch, or if it's got a ballast resistor in there that it's not supposed to have, or corrosion somewhere, or maybe the coil could be part of the problem as well. It's just an old coil I had laying around. So but we're gonna keep checking the fluids. We've got to flush this radiator out. It's got some kind of sludge in there we've got to get out. But we got this forklift for free, and I put a $100 ignition module in it from Petronics, they're pretty awesome. And then I would have put points in it just to try it, but the original breaker plate is gone. So the Petronics comes with its own mounting plate and everything. So we bought that and put it in there. They work really good. They're very reliable. So so we're gonna keep going with this. I'm probably gonna tear this muffler off of here because it's just spitting rust in my face at the bottom of this thing. I think I have one to put on there. So we'll maybe get that swapped out and try to get this thing at least running reliably, get the cooling system cleaned out a little bit where we can at least run it for a period of time. I think the hand throttle is stuck off idle position because it wants to stay revving. That or the governor is sticky. So we're gonna have to find out what's going on with that. So I can force it down to idle, but it wants to rev a little higher than that. So we're gonna have to take a look at it. So we'll get at that and